Hello, viewers. You're watching DNA. I'm Abhijit, and with me is Tridvesh, a policy analyst, faculty at OP Jindal University, and a geopolitics expert. So, sir, it's been close to 48 hours since Donald Trump took office for the second time as the 47th President of the United States. And something that has been very noticeable is that he started his tenure with a barrage of executive orders. He has reversed about 78 odd executive orders from the Biden era administration, initiated about 80 new executive orders. So, what is the entire atmosphere in US and also globally? How these decisions are being perceived?
See, I won't be able to tell you the atmosphere in the US. That somebody who's over there would be able to be in a better position. But so, see, we need to look at some of the decisions. If you look at the WHO decision, withdrawal from the Paris Climate Agreement, the talk about imposition on countries which go for de-dollarization and BRICS members specifically, and tariffs on then tariffs specifically on Mexico and Canada. Now, this needs to be looked at different levels. The first is that these were, like we say, in India we say the poll promises. These were part of the agenda in the campaign. They were figured very high. Second, Donald Trump talks about America first, and as we were discussing earlier, that the concept of America first has been there earlier also. There's always been a debate between a section of on the one hand, you have Republicans and Democrats who are more global and who believe that the U.S. values should be spread globally and whatever else.
And the Republicans can be perceived as slightly inward looking in terms of their policies and America first, basically.
No, but in that, so that's what I'm saying. So now you also have, so you see, from the 1970s till about 10 years ago, there was a consensus between the Republicans and the Democrats about how to look at over the reasons were different. The Democrats would talk about values, liberalism and everything else. Republicans would say that, they would invoke that thing that this is, the American exceptionalism and various things. But post the 2009, the change began initially after 9/11. Then you had the economic crisis in 2008, 2009.
2008 and 9, yes.
Yes, right. And then after that, then the election of Trump in 2016. So that was but now, even the Biden administration essentially followed the policies of Donald Trump only. On key economic, for instance, on trade issues, you had the Trans-Pacific Partnership started by Obama. Right. In fact, we've discussed this in earlier shows also. But the Democrats have totally given up on that because that's a narrative now, right? So Trump is playing, he has understood the popular mood. There maybe you see, it's not about Democrats or Republicans or being anti one country. People believe that maybe America needs to focus on domestic challenges, domestic issues.
So now, with Trump coming back to office, him signing all of these executive orders, reversing all of these orders, how is it specifically going to impact the interests of India and Indo-US relationships? And what exactly lies ahead for India? Which orders are going to specifically affect India directly? Can we talk a little bit about that?
So, see, one is, let me just clear one thing. So while on the one hand we're talking about all the things which are causing disruption, on the H1B, as I said earlier, he's not against the H1B per se. We need to dehyphenate things.
Right.
He may see this issue of citizenship.
Birthright citizenship.
Birthright citizenship. That is, yes. So earlier in his last tenure, he was against H1B visas. Also, changes were introduced. So what will happen is on this birthright citizenship, again, it remains whether, how does it go ahead? Is it going to be challenged? That is going to be a major challenge. And I think also even some of the illegal immigrants also, apparently the 18,000, a certain amount already India, it's come that the total number is 7,20,000, I think, of...
Number of Indians in US? We have about 4.7 million Indians who are...
No, but illegal...
Illegal, I do not know the exact number, but it is a very substantial
number. Yeah, it's a substantial number. And out of that, already there is some... Yeah. I think some... Now, whether this happens or whether this doesn't happen, that's a different issue altogether. But I think what is important is, irrespective of what happens, this sets into motion a new debate about. So even if you send like a small number of illegal immigrants if they come back, first of all, let's break it down. Illegal immigrants, if then this will start, there will be a sort of domino effect, and in future, people would be obviously from the US perspective, maybe people, there are supporters who believe that who have a tough stance on this. It could send a positive message to them, especially to their own constituency, in terms of the illegal immigrants over there. The next is that this birthright, this is far more complex. This could be child, but if again, now in that, will there be categories?
So, just a second, for our viewers, let us just explain them briefly. So, the ending the birthright citizenship means that, as per Amendment 14 of
14,
the
Amendment
US
14.
Constitution, anyone who is born in US and under US jurisdiction is by default US citizen. Now, that is going to be changed. That you need at least one of your parents to be a US citizen or a green card holder. Only then you would by default become a US citizen. So, if that is hypothetically implemented, only 34% of the Indians who are in US are actually green card holders. So there are lots of people who are on temporary visas, student visas, working visas. Now, how is that going to affect them if that happens? All of those Indians.
So I don't think it'll be so simple to do this across the board. They'll have to create categories.
Yeah.
Right? See, we also mustn't forget that there must be, even within the Indian community, there would be a substantial number of children who are also the children of illegal immigrants.
Correct.
Right, that category is also there. So that's what we're missing out. So we are focusing on H1Bs, we are focusing on all that. Now, maybe this is again, when this whole thing is actually looked at, when you look at, first of all, the illegal immigrant part, the focus is more on Mexico, right, on the neighboring countries and all. And as far as India is concerned, it'll be very, I mean, for H1Bs and all, it may be much tougher to do what they're planning, because then it will be major disruption. But yeah, maybe to begin with, an attempt would be made that they look at, first of all, I think it will take very long even to examine all these cases and see that. Because then again, there are these are for different nature, they will challenge in various courts and all that. So, as of now,
US also being a highly federal structure, number of states are going to go against. 22 states have already.
As of now, this is all, a lot of, some of these things will go through these orders. Some of them will, it'll take time, and more importantly, Trump will be able to say that, okay, I have done what I promised. Now, I have these encumbrances or obstacles in the way. So a lot of these things are not going to be as simple as we think to implement ultimately. That's what for most of them. In trade, it's easier. I mean, tariffs, but these immigration policies is very tough.
So Trump has already threatened 100% tariffs against BRICS if they try to challenge the dollar. So how do you see that move?
That is, India has already categorically said that
We are not trying to replace
BRICS currency, the de-dollarization is only there because there are sanctions on Russia. Now, if under Trump the ties with Russia improve, and some relaxations are given to countries for doing economic transactions, which is again a bit of a far cry. But if that happens, then many countries would, move back towards the trade in the dollar. De-dollarization is being done to circumvent the sanctions largely, especially in commodities. So that's what we need to look at as well.
Right. So to end, I know it's quite early, but how do you see the Trump 2.0 tenure playing out?
There's that saying that the more things change, the more they remain the same.
Yeah.
And that, that sense of deja vu. But this is a very different world altogether in the economic sense. Geopolitically, it's far more complex than last time. We thought last time was complex. This is very complex. And I think one of the major, there will be a lot of this rhetoric and things like that. But it would be interesting to see how Trump handles China, because that will have an impact on many other issues. Right. How does he handle China? And whether this time, at least on, with some of the allies, especially with countries like Japan, then countries, in Europe, Germany, whether there is, after all this, in the beginning, obviously, as I said, it's fine. Every politician wants to do some messaging. That is okay. But a lot, one will need to see that how does he, what is the substance really of all these things? And because if let's say the relationship with China improves, I'm coming back to that. That will give space to countries also, but that also may the US then may also give less importance. Even with, see, even the China factors on the important things which drives the US India relationship. So that is something. Uh, but if the US China relationship deteriorates, again there's a downside to it because global instability and it becomes tough to balance relations between China and the US. But then there are also options because US companies, again, like they've been diversifying, and you have the China plus one strategy and all that could be there. So it's very early in the day. I think it's very, it just, at this point of time, you just observe the some of the steps which are being taken and do so with a pinch of salt. Because you do have, I mean, again, I mean, we can look at it whichever way, but there are people, though again, many important, in terms of the bureaucracy, also important changes are being made. But you have, I mean, what is called the Beltway folks or the establishment, they, on certain issues, it will not be easy to push ahead some of the proposals. Yeah.
So, viewers, here we are talking about what Trump 2.0 means for the global community and specifically how it might affect India. For more such content, keep watching DNA.